Traffic updates now. There's a two-vehicle road traffic collision on the A1. The section of the road...
PCSP have confirmed there has been a serious road traffic collision, resulting in 2 fatalities on the A1.
2 are in critical condition in the intensive care unit.
4 people added to the rising statistics of people killed or seriously injured on our local roads.
My name's Rita Bentley and I helped set up the local committee of Road Safe NI in 2016.
My name is Lillian and I'm involved with road safety.
My name is Mary Kate McCavitt.
My name is Vincent Ward.
My name's Sharon and I'm Vincent's wife.
I'm Ciara. I got involved with the Road Safe NI after my boyfriend Carl was killed in a car crash in May 2018.
My name is Annie. My brother Owen died in a car accident.
I lost my partner to a road traffic collision.
My son was killed in an accident almost 5 years ago.
My brother was knocked down and killed by a lorry driver.
John Paul was out cycling and was hit by an articulated lorry.
John Paul was a legend, like probably keystone in our family. The clown. Always. Mason, sorry, once we start talking about it. He was our best friend.
John Paul was a very special person. He was a lovely character, a very gentle, big soul.
We had 2 very young children at the time. Leo was 16 months and Reuben was only 4 months old.
All he wanted in life was to raise his 2 boys. And that's the saddest thing about John Paul, that he will never see those boys grow up.
He was easygoing, hardworking, and always a smile on his face. The police came to our house and everyone just rushed downstairs and knew something was wrong. Horrifying. It was like a nightmare. And I'll never forget it.
We were planning to move away together to London. When he got back on the road towards Belfast, he met 2 cars on the wrong side of the road. Had no chance, he was killed instantly. That even if the crash had happened at the hospital door, it wouldn't have mattered, it wouldn't have saved him. Things since Carl died have just been crazy. You don't understand how the world can keep going when he's not in it anymore. We had planned everything together. We had talked about our wedding, about having kids, about moving away and travelling. And now that's all gone.
I was involved in an accident in 1998. A normal motorcycle event. To be perfectly honest with you, I can remember nothing about it because I was knocked out unconscious. The driver drove into us and killed 2 people, injured another 7, myself included. I was unconscious for 2.5 months. I was in hospital for a year. Sustained a severe head injury because of the actual crash. Unable to walk, unable to talk. Fit for nothing really. So thanks to my wife, my female friend, my own private nurse. She done a lot of looking after.
John Paul's death has devastated us as a family. And in particular myself, because him and I were so close.
We just felt like we needed to do something so that another family wouldn't have to go through what we've been through and are continuing to go through. He should have been back within half an hour. I got a phone call from his mummy to ask me where he was, and at that point I started to panic. When I arrived at the hospital, I was met by police. I was taken over to the surgeon, and at that point I just went into shock. He wasn't going to be able to survive, that he was going to die. He was pronounced dead at 1:14 a.m, which is the same time Leo was born at.
They told us my brother Owen died and his friend James. It was like living a nightmare. Terrible. Everyone was just crying and didn't know what to do. I was 12 years old when Owen died and didn't know how to cope with it. My teacher offered me to go to a counsellor, but never thought it was right at the time. It was probably right to talk about it then, but I didn't want to face it. Others were helpful at the time Owen died, but now they don't know how to talk about him and feel very awkward. But us as a family talk about Owen and keep his memory alive.
Before the accident, I was a builder, a construction worker, and I employed in general about half a dozen men. And I went from being that to being a nobody, to being nothing then. It affected me completely, totally, during my life. So I had to learn how to feed myself again. I had to learn everything again. Broken neck, cracked skull, broken cheekbone, collarbone. Got my head x-rayed, and there was a brain fluid leaking out of it. And I need all the brain fluid I have.
It was just like an overinflated football. It was just a big, round football. He was open from and stapled across the top. Vincy and I were married 11 months in a week whenever Vincy had the accident. I was supposed to go that day to book to go to Paris, and I was roughly 6 weeks pregnant. I can't say when reality set in because you're that busy trying to cope with all the doctors are telling you, all the plans that you had, you know, they're gone. So they are.
From being so able to being totally useless for anything, that just happened overnight, like. From being totally able to being totally useless. That's the impact as your accident has on you. Totally changes you. You're a different person altogether, mentally and physically.
You have to go and tell the family members that their loved one has died as a result of an accident, and it's not an easy thing to do, to go and knock somebody's door and tell them, but it has to be done. In one word, it's horrible. It's not a message you ever want to give anybody, but you have to put yourself in that person's position and think, how would I want to be told? And you have to put it into perspective that, yes, while it might be difficult on you as a police officer to give that message, the impact stays with the family.
Life afterwards was nothing short of chaos. I don't remember much of Ruben's firsts because I was just robotic. It was like I was barely surviving, but I had to. I feel like the biggest part of me died with John Paul that night. And the bit that's left is only here because they've lost one parent and they can't lose another. I've had to explain to my children what will happen to them if I die when they were 3 and 4. No child should have to learn that at that age. Ruben, when he was 2, asked me to get a ladder out of the shed so that he could give Daddy a hug. I just don't know what you do with that. They shouldn't have to go through this. They shouldn't have to. And it's just because of some reckless driver who just couldn't pay attention.
And to have died the way he died, I never come to terms with it. He was wearing his high-vis, his helmet, and we thought he was in a safe place. But unfortunately, the lorry driver killed him. Our aim now is to bring up these boys that were left, one at 4 months and one at a year 4 months. And they will never know the person that he was. I just hope that someday I won't feel as angry as I do at the minute. Can I stop now for a minute?
Everybody loved Carl. He was the most amazing person. He had this really big, beautiful smile and this contagious laugh that you could hear anywhere. My whole life just doesn't really seem to have purpose anymore. We had our whole lives ahead of us, and that was taken away from him, but it was also taken away from me. Carl didn't do anything wrong. He was the innocent person. And it was him that lost his life.
Whenever I deploy to a scene as a body recovery officer, it's generally because the scene is so traumatic or so difficult that ordinarily uniformed police couldn't be expected to deal with it. So that could be anything from severely burnt casualty in a vehicle fire, a body that is quite badly disrupted through loss of limbs or internal organs having been removed. On one occasion, I dealt with a road traffic collision where a car hit a lorry at high speed, and the car was virtually disintegrated, and the driver as well inside, and the remains were spread over quite a wide part of the road. Another quite traumatic one I dealt with was a young couple in a car. The car was coming too fast around the corner, clipped the curb at the side of the road and hit a crash barrier. The car burst into flames and they were trapped inside, obviously burnt to death inside the car. I had to deal with that at the time, and that's one that'll stay with me for forever probably.
I am a crew commander in the Protection and Prevention Department of Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service. Our goal is to turn up, stabilise the car, assess the casualty, and then get the casualty out as soon as possible. We can turn up to incidents where somebody has been majorly hurt. Things like maybe a car impacted with a tree and the person has been impacted by the car. We could have people when we turn up who have already died, and then it's a case of removing them from the car while still dealing with people who are alive and in tremendous amounts of pain. The one message that we tend to drive home to people is that it's your choice. It's your choice whether or not you soup up your car to the point where it becomes dangerous to you and no longer a protective factor in preventing an accident. It's your choice whether you wear a seatbelt or you don't. It's your choice whether you use your mobile phone or you don't. And it's your choice whether you choose to speed in excess of the road limit or you don't.
Speed kills, mobile phones kill, racing kills. That car is potentially a weapon that can kill people, and that's what you have to remember.
Young people need to realise that they're not just in danger of hurting themselves, it's other lives that they can ruin too. You get into a car, it's not just yourself that you could be injuring or affecting, it's other people that you have to be considerate of. Your actions can cause so much damage to other people's lives, even those who aren't involved in the crash.
Safety is paramount. Until you actually witness or see some of the accidents, what happens to people after they've been involved in a crash, it would really change your mind. It would make you go a lot slower.
When you kill somebody, you don't just kill that person. You ruin a complete family's life. You can never be the same again after your son or your siblings killed. It deeply affects families.
Road users are pedestrians, they're cyclists, they're the elderly woman walking down the street to get her milk in the shop. You know, they're the young child being walked hand in hand by a parent. It's okay saying, oh, I'm safe in my car and I do my bits. But if you're driving in excess of the speed limit and you hit somebody who's out doing their thing, you've impacted on their life.
You have a responsibility as a young driver that your actions have consequences.
We tend to see a lot of, accidents caused by young people in the back, showing the person in the front a video. You lose control of your car and you can't predict how your car is going to react to the road.
I was 17, 18 once myself. I thought I was infallible. I could go anywhere, do anything. It only takes 5 seconds to lose your concentration, to do something you know you shouldn't. It all goes wrong in those 5 seconds.
We really miss him. We're angry that somebody not paying attention to the road or doing something that they shouldn't have been doing has taken his life and taken him from us. We never want any other family to have to go through what we went through and what we will continue to probably go through for the rest of our lives. We just don't want somebody else to have to go through the same thing.
I wish young people could stand in our shoes and see the effect that their driving has on people. I think the need to be shown the after effects of an accident and just how much it affects families.
If young people had to live the life for one day with the consequences, it has to change their views whenever they go out into a car. A car is a very, very enjoyable luxury to have, but it's a weapon if used wrongly. The consequences that you can inflict on yourself is one thing. It's what you can inflict then on your parents, your siblings, your friends, or in Vince's case, on somebody who's totally unconnected.
Drivers slow down and think about other families.
Any new drivers just need to think. You are not invincible. No one is invincible. One split second can ruin a multitude of lives.
It ruins their lives, And another one, it will ruin your life as well, but you become a criminal. You'll be like a murderer as such, because you killed someone with your car.
While you may have the rest of your life to live, albeit some of it may be in prison, it will be filled with remorse and grief.
I just feel so empty.
It's your choice. Make the safe choice.
To the world, you might be someone, but to someone, you are the world.